Hello and welcome to PTE's live lessons. My name is Scott and I am going to be your host today for our writing lesson as part as week one. So I believe we have one student here. Can you open your microphone and just introduce yourself to the group, please?
Hey, hi, I'm Agit.
Hi, Ajit. Nice to see you again. And how are you today?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Great, thanks. I'm having a very, very nice day. So I believe you've been with Una for the last previous lessons this week with you did speaking and listening with her. I hope those have been
Yeah,
going well. Have you been enjoying the lessons so far?
yeah, it was very fruitful.
All right, that's great. Well, I'm very, very happy that you are enjoying your time today. So, Ajit, can you just give me a bit more information about you, like we talked on Monday? But it's obviously good to get to know you and listen to you talk, get used to each other's accents before we continue this class today.
Yeah, my name is Ajit Kumar Chaudhary, and I'm currently working in a software company.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm planning to migrate to Australia. So for that, I need a score of 79 plus.
Right, so you're looking to get that
So
79 advanced level plus score.
yeah,
Fantastic. Great. Well, nice to meet you and obviously good to understand about where you came from and what your job is. So, are you looking to move to Australia as part of
yeah,
your employment and maybe set up a new life in Australia?
yeah. I'm looking for PR
Oh,
in Australia.
PR, yeah. And do you know where in Australia you would like to live in?
Yeah, Sydney. I'm applying for Sydney.
Yeah, it's a very nice city. I myself spent 1 year in Australia living in Melbourne, but also
Uh,
spent some time in Sydney too. A beautiful, beautiful country and many very beautiful cities. All right.
yeah.
Well, as I said, Ajit, my name, I told you a bit on Monday, but I'll go into more information now. My name is Scott, and I am from Northern Ireland. So I'm a native speaker from the UK, and I've been teaching English for many years and now teaching PTE with Swoosh for the last little while. So it's nice to meet you, and we'll get started in today's lesson. So we
Okay.
are doing our final lesson this week is on writing. We've covered speaking, reading, and listening this week, and now we're going to do some writing this week. All right. Well, let's get started. So here are our lesson content and aims today. So today is going to serve pretty much as an introduction to PTE writing. I'm going to go through a lot of the procedures, strategies, tips, and scoring that comes to the two sections of PTE writing. But today's lesson focus is going to be on summarise written text. We're going to learn how to approach summarise written text in terms of the procedure, the strategies, the scoring, and some tips you can take in order to improve your score in this test. We're obviously then going to practice doing some of these things that we can do to increase our score in this task, such as extracting the main idea and keywords from a passage, in addition to analyzing what makes an effective summary for this task. We're then going to practice a few sample summarized written text prompts where you'll get a chance to show me your answer. I can analyze it and critique it and suggest improvements. And then at the very end, we're going to have a question and answer and feedback session where you'll have a chance to ask me more questions about this task itself, get anything off your chest, and then have a discussion with me. But also keep in mind that even though I've obviously given a section at the end of the class for question and answering, please don't be afraid to ask a question at any point. If something's not clear for you or you want more analysis and something more input, then please obviously just ask me to stop for a second and then we
Yeah,
will ask the
yeah.
question because I want you to get the most from this lesson as possible. Also, because I am from Northern Ireland, I may speak quite fast. So if I happen to start speaking very fast and you have no idea what I am saying, please tell me to slow down or repeat
Okay,
what I have
sure.
said, okay?
Yeah,
It's just very beneficial for you to understand it. Also, my accent might be a bit strange to you, possibly. You might not be very used to it. So for those reasons, just make sure that you are getting the most information from this class. All right.
yeah,
Actually, I
sure.
believe that, yeah, great. I believe you have done the PTE test before, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. How
I
many
have
times, how
given.
many, how many times have you done the PTE test before?
Yeah, I've given two times, and I have scored 66 and 68.
66 and 68. I take it the 68 was the second time you did the test. There was a slight increase. Yes.
Yeah,
All right, good. So you're probably quite familiar with the overview and the features of this test, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but okay, that's good. So I won't spend a lot of time in this section, but in case there might be some information that you might have missed, I still think it's quite useful for us to go through the components of the writing test. So do you mind if I do this with you?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, excellent. So let's have a look at an overview of the PTE writing test. So we're going to look at two sections today, speaking and writing. The total time for the entire test for the speaking and writing component is 77 to 93 minutes, and you have 7+ question types, including the intro. As you know, the speaking and the writing components are joined on the test, and the writing themes will often follow on from the speaking themes that you have done. All right, so, oh, sorry. Okay, let's have a look now at just some of the components of the test. So as I said, the speaking and the writing sections are divided into several parts. We're looking at the sections in red today, which are the writing section, summarize written text, and write essay. There will be 2 to 3 summary excuse me, 2 to 3 summarized written text prompts to do on the day of the examination, lasting 10 minutes each, so 20 to 30 minutes depending on how long they are. And there will be 2 write essay sections as well. So they're 20 minutes each, therefore 20 to 40 minutes for that task type. That's just a breakdown of the test. You can look at that, you can screenshot it, and then use it if you're doing the test yourself, just so that you know about all the components. But I know you do, you are very aware of this structure. Just for any of our viewers on Facebook and YouTube, this might be useful for them today. All right. So as I said, summarize written text, 2 to 3 prompts, 20 to 30 minutes, write essay, 1 to 2 prompts, 20 to 40 minutes in total. So Ajit, what section do you find more difficult, summarize written text or write essay?
Uh, I don't find like writing doesn't make me like
Mm.
it's not difficult. The reading section is the most I struggle.
Okay, okay. Well, that's great. Hopefully then you'll be able to do these prompts very well today and also still
Yeah.
pick up on some information that you might have missed out on. But I'm glad that you're confident about your writing skills because most students find the writing section to be very, very, very difficult. That's good. So some of the scoring criteria for the writing section of the test. So the marking for all communicative and enabling skills such as speaking is conducted by machines. As you know, you've done the test before, but for anyone watching on YouTube or Facebook, that you are not assessed by you're not assessed by a live examiner. You are assessed purely by a machine. So there is some automation involved, but here are some of the scoring criteria that you're picked up for on the test. So content is defining criteria for that is with questions that requires exact answers. They include read aloud, repeat sentence, etc. Replacements, omissions, or insertions of words count as errors. For long answer type items like describe image or retell lecture, the scoring is based on how many of the crucial fundamentals in the image lecture have been covered in the answer. That refers mostly to the speaking, but of course then the speaking and the writing is joined on, so therefore it's still useful to know this. But anyway, I'll move on now to the writing section overall. So what is the task? Summarize written text. What exactly do you have to do in this task, Ajit?
Yeah. Need to summarize in one paragraph without using any without using any full stop.
Okay, so
Basically, you need to write a summary in one paragraph.
a summary in one paragraph. Okay, yep, essentially is what you have to do. Here's a bit more information, which is the reading and summarization of a large chunk of text into one sentence, attempting to convey the gist as well as the main and supporting points. You're taking a large text and you're summarizing it into something that's more concise and a lot more simple. So how long do you have to complete this task on the day, Ajit?
I think it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes is precise. Yep.
Yeah.
You have 20 to 30 minutes overall, but there is 10 minutes per summarized written text task. So you have 10 minutes per task. You may have 2, you may have 3 in the day of the
Three.
examination.
Yeah.
Yep. So 2 to 3 is the average you'll have. So that's 10 minutes per task that you have to do. And how many summaries do you have to do? We just covered that. 2 to 3 at 10 minutes per summary
First.
overall. So yep, quite quick and quite choppy overall for that. All right. So here's an example of summarized written texts. You're probably quite aware of this from the day of doing the examination, but for anyone who's watching on YouTube or Facebook, here is basically a sample prompt from this task. As you will see a heading that states, read the passage below and summarizing it using one sentence. Only one sentence is required for this task. Type your response in the box at the bottom of the screen. You have 10 minutes to finish the task. Your response will be judged on the quality of your writing and how well your response presents the key points in the passage. And as you can see, our text has been divided into 3 paragraphs. Having a look at that summarized written text answer, Ajit, how long would you guess that is in words?
If we need to summarize this text, then
Mhm.
how much time it will take? You're asking that
Not
question?
the time. So having a look at that summarized written text essay there, if you had to count how many words were in that, how many would you guess there was?
Words, total words?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's quite a lot of words. So, do you know how many words the passage can be on the day? So you're obviously looking at the essay and you're thinking, how long can this essay prompt be that I have to summarize? How many words can it be up to on the day?
No, I don't know.
You don't know? All right, up to 300 words. So it's actually a full essay. So you're reading and you're reading and condensing something that is of right essay length in the day, up to 300 words in total into effectively one sentence. So it is fairly difficult, right? Unless you find this task to be quite easy.
Yeah, I have been practicing like a lot.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. Like out of 10, I have scored 10.
Hmm.
It's like I'm comfortable. I have done a lot of practice in summarized written text.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's not that I'm an expert of
Yeah,
summarized written
yeah, of
text.
course, of course.
If,
But
if I would have been expert, I would not have joined the class.
exactly, yeah, of course. Maybe your writing skills are incredibly strong, which is good. But you did say the thing that obviously I tell all my students to do, and that is just to practice, 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 take aboard the
Yeah.
feedback and improve that feedback over time. Yeah. But obviously your writing is good, which is great. So, yep, 300 words for your summarized written text prompt. What you have to condense into a single paragraph or sentence. So here's what you're scored on the day of your exam writing scoring criteria. So you're scored on your content, your form, your development structure and coherence, your grammar, your vocabulary, and your spelling. So obviously all of these sections come into your score overall. Content obviously involves like how much of the passage you have taken and included into your summary. So your main ideas, your keywords and main ideas and points. Have you managed to extract those from the main text and include them overall? What do we think we mean by form? We talk about the task scoring. What do we mean by form?
Form.
Mm.
I don't know.
That's okay. That's why you're here today to obviously hear from a PTE expert. But yeah, content obviously refers to all the ideas together. Form is just basically how you've structured it together. How have you put all your ideas together into something that's coherent? Have you put your main idea first, then your supporting ideas afterwards? Basically, how have you basically gelled everything together? And also, how have you worded it? Have you used formal academic English or used something that's a little bit more colloquial or informal? So that's what we refer to the form. How have you put your words together and in what tone is appropriate? Development, structure, and coherence, that basically covers the same ideas. Do your ideas flow from one to another? Have you structured it well in terms of not just the overall structure, but your sentence structure? Has that come together and gel together? And your coherence, do you make sense? So obviously you might have ideas in your head, but are you able to put those down in a sentence and also, of course, make sense so that the reader would actually have a sense of understanding about what you're talking about? And then grammar, vocabulary, and spelling are obviously quite self-explanatory. Grammar is, have you used the grammar accurately and have you used it well? Vocabulary, have you used a range of academic vocabulary and used it appropriately in sentences? And of course, your spelling at the very end. So spelling is obviously one thing that's still highly important in this examination because you can lose marks for having words that are incorrectly spelled. That's why when we move on to our three-step program today as part of this class, we want to ensure that you are taking the time to review your spelling and get marks that you might lose out overall from those points. But just keep all of these ideas in mind whenever you're doing your practice prompts because you want to ensure that you're developing your answer as well as you can across all of these sections. So there are 0 to 3 points per section. Some are weighed more than others. But as you can see, there's a lot of points you can pick up for doing each of these writing scoring criterions as well as possible. So all are highly important. All right. So let's just see what you know from our breakdown of our summarized written text prompt. So what must you write in order to complete the question successfully? In your own words, what do you think you have to write in order to complete the question successfully? What do you have to write and what do you have to include?
The main key points
Mm-hmm.
of the passage.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you can think of?
As much as much detail information you can,
Right.
but it should be in a paragraph,
Yes, of
in
course.
one sentence.
It needs to be in one sentence and it needs to be
Yeah,
relevant. All right, cool.
relevant.
Well, yeah, you've given some really good points there. Let me just take those and move forward with that. So, yep, the most important thing is that you need to write only one sentence. One
Sentence.
sentence at all. One sentence. So you mentioned there how you need to take all the key points and include them into one sentence. That's not really it's not really feasible, I guess, for this examination prompt itself. After all, you've got a massive chunk of text. It's just not possible for you to get all of the key points and examples into one sentence. That's why it's important to pick what you think are the main points and put them in as concisely as possible. But I'll go into more detail about that as we go into our prompts. But the main takeaway from that is only one sentence. How long do you have to finish the task, Ajit?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes is precise. How long are the reading passages for this item type? How long can they be in words?
300 words, like you said.
Yep, maximum up to 300 words, so a whole write essay section. What 4 factors are scored in your writing? If we can condense it down into 4 factors.
Grammar,
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary, spelling,
Mm-hmm.
content, and coherence,
Yeah,
like
so
form.
actually, yep, so we have content, form, vocabulary, and grammar, as well
Grammar.
as obviously your coherence, your structure, and I guess your gist and your content as well. Oh, we got content there. So content, form, vocabulary, and grammar are your main takeaway points. Also, I didn't go through this, but I want to see if you know this already. There is a word limit that is necessary for this response. Do you know what that word limit is?
Yeah, I think 75.
75 is the upper end. Is there a lower end of the word limit?
Yeah,
Do you know what it is?
it's upper end.
It's, sorry?
It's the upper end.
Yeah, the upper end is 75. Do you know what the lower end is of the word limit? There is a lower end
I
to this
think
task
five.
too. Yes,
Five.
precisely. Well done. Good. Yeah, 5 to 75 words. So I don't think anyone's going to have a problem getting more than 5 words, but you may have a problem, of course, getting your summary beneath 75 words. That's why it's obviously quite difficult to get all these ideas together and make sure they go no more than 75 words. Just out of curiosity, have you had any issues with writing within the word limit before, Ajit?
No. Like I have been writing writing and testing in a app, in
Mm-hmm.
application. I have in there like I used to get full marks in content, vocabs,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
grammar. But
Fantastic.
the issue I see is in form.
Is in your form how you put it together.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. In
yeah.
form, I got to low score.
Right. So your form and your structure and how you put together things coherently is important to you. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Good.
that's my weak point, I think.
Okay, good. I'll keep a note of that as we move forward today when we get onto our mock prompts. But yeah, some students before, maybe those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, as well as on the Swoosh English website, you may have issues with keeping your content and your final answer beneath 75 words, maneuvering all that content and keeping it down as coherent as possible. Good. So that's the basic questions. Can you give me in your own words, Ajit, what a written summary is? What is a written summary?
But like I said, it's
Mm-hmm.
the main idea of the passage.
And what do we do with
This
that main idea?
the main idea should give the overall picture of the passage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good. These are all relevant points. Yep. So you've touched on some of the things we're going to look at now. It is a condensed written statement of the main points of the passage. So the important thing is obviously that you get the main idea, but also you manage to reduce it down into something that's really short and also incredibly concise, which is the hard part. Is trying to get the main ideas, removing all the extra information that is not needed. It is obviously quite a difficult task for some people to do. But yep, that's pretty much what it is. Good. So what information is required when we summarize a brief reading passage? What do we need to get into it and to put it into our summary?
The main topic, the
Mm-hmm.
topic should we should know the topic, and then we need to describe the topic, and write the concluding point.
Right.
So yeah, the three, the topic, the description of topic, and then the conclusion, I think.
All right, cool. These are some good ideas. Let's see what we've got here. So basically all the main points, or as many of the main points, need to be included overall, including, as you said, the topic, and the key points need to be precisely to notice. So not only do we need to get as many of these main points as possible into our summary, they also need to be referenced incredibly accurately. We have to use them and refer to them in context with the written summary as well, and just get the essence of what it is by getting our gist of the passage, and then referring to that gist with our summary at the very end. You notice how I've said here at the bottom as well, examples and supporting statements are usually removed. What do you think I mean by that? What is an example and why are these removed?
Sorry, I didn't got your point.
Sorry, so let me just annotate that for you here on the slideshow. So I've written here, examples and supporting statements are usually removed. So I've said that we need to include the
Yeah,
gist
yeah,
and the key
yeah, yeah,
points.
yeah. The details we don't include. Details and supporting statements are not
Mhm.
included
Yeah, and why are they not included?
because that is not the main point.
They're not the main points yet, precisely. And also the fact is that we just don't have enough words or enough time to write a single sentence, including these main and supporting points. So that
Yeah.
what's also incredibly important to do is to figure out ways to differentiate between the main idea, the main points, and the example so that we know what an example is and how we remove that. We'll go into more detail about that very soon. Good. Nice. Thank you very much, Agit. You're pretty well clued up in our on our task today. So our next
Thank
question:
you.
what verb task is usually used in the summary and why? When we're writing about our summary, what verb tense do we use and
Mm,
why?
mm, I don't know. I don't know.
Would you like to have a guess at least?
No, I go with the passes.
Yeah.
Uh, the passage is in past tense, then I usually write in past tense.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I go with the passes.
Okay, so you write in the past tense in the passage. Here's the advice for this section here. What we should be doing is we should be using the simple present tense. And the reason why is because the exam candidate is giving a recitation of the main factual points of a passage. So even though, yes, when we're talking about referring to a passage or a study, we might initially refer to it in the past tense because we're referring to something that happened in the past. For example, the research showed, the article found, blah, 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 blah. That can be referred to in the past tense. But whenever we start talking about it in our own recitation, we should use the present simple because we're giving the recitation of the main factual points at the moment of the passage. Think about it as routine. This is why we use the simple present tense, talk about things as they are and as they happened. So try and use the simple present tense when giving your main points and main details as part of your passage. Okay, so that might be useful for you to pick up on. We should use this tense if we can. All right.
Okay.
All right. And are there any other special grammatical features of a summary? Anything else that we can do to make sure our summary is well formed, well structured, and flows nicely? I find.
Yeah, I usually follow compound complex sentences.
And what is a
Uh,
compound complex sentence?
uh, how can I describe?
Oh no. All right. Okay. It's probably quite difficult to think about exactly what it is. Oh my goodness, that's a great question. What am I doing here? So let me just
Yeah.
tell you what it is, and just spare you the embarrassment of talking about it. So yeah, summaries condense a lot of information into a very limited number of words. So as you said, compound sentences need to be written as well as noun phrases and clauses, therefore needed to write sentences. So basically, how can we write a long and complex sentence and combine it all into one rather than writing several simple sentences separated by commas and full stops or periods depending where you come from in the world? We need to join them together. So can you give me any examples of any grammatical structures that we can use to combine a sentence together into something that's more compound and complex?
Mm, We can give one definition of
Yeah, sure.
something, and uh,
So what words can we
like
use? Yes, sorry, sorry, Ajit, go ahead.
uh,
So when we're linking words together, what words can we use when we're linking sentences together?
like
That are
apple is a fruit which is beneficial to our health. Therefore, it saves our life.
right. That's a great sentence. That's a great compound sentence. So a couple of words you used here were which and therefore. These are two different kinds of linking words overall. So which is known as a, do you know what which is? What type of grammar which is? What do we call it? Like which, where, that, and who? What do we call those? Relative.
Relative
Yeah,
noun,
relative pronouns.
relative
So
pronoun.
yes,
Yeah.
good, good. We use those as part of a relative clause, which
Uh,
combines ideas together, referring to the subject, which is we use which, who, and that for to combine ideas together. And therefore, we also use to link ideas together as a cause and effect. For example, as you said, the apple fell on my head, therefore my head hurt. So that was what it said. We use that to link cause and effect together. So yeah, we use a variety of pronouns and commas, and different linking words and cohesive devices to create our sentence and make them into compound words. So these are obviously
yeah.
very, very useful to study up on your own time. But great, fantastic. If you got those down, then we're ready to go with that. So let's start now with our first task today. We're going to look through some examples of summarized written text and see if we can actually make some nice, hopefully by the end of the class, we'll have some examples of some sample answers for this from yourself as well as from the class. I can analyze them and then we can break them down, see what's been done well, and anything you need to improve on. So here is our first passage for today. As you can see, it's a fairly long passage. I think it's up to 300 words in total, separated by 2 paragraphs. So the first thing we do is when we start in the day, we have 10 minutes, obviously, to start this task. And what we want to do is go through a nice set strategy so that we get into the good habit of basically be able to maximize our score on the day. The first thing that we do is we try to read the paragraph and extract our topic sentence, which is the gist, and our key ideas. So what I want you to do, Agit, is I want you to have a read through this passage and answer the 2 following questions. What is the main idea or ideas of the passage? It is obviously useful to know that there might be more than one key idea. And also, what are the key words and points that support this main idea? So just take a moment, read through the paragraph, both
Okay.
paragraphs, read through the entire passage and see if you can extract those main ideas and those keywords and points. If you like,
Okay.
you can type them into the chat box. I can then copy and paste them and then place them on to the PowerPoint. Or if you prefer, you can give them to me orally and I can just type them up. Up to you.
Mm.
Take a
Okay.
minute, read through. Anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube later on, please do the same thing. Pause the video and do the 2 questions. See if you can get those main ideas and also those keywords and main points that might be part of it.
It's like the children education. The motor skill of a child is developed to its environment, whether he lives in urban or rural areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've gotten that. Can you tell me where you got those points that you just referenced?
In first paragraph,
Yeah, at the very beginning.
no, in the third last. So the overall takeaway from the study is that residential density directly relates to the motor skills of children,
Mm-hmm.
their their degree of outdoor play, and participation in organized sport.
An organized sport. Yeah. All right. So, yep, we got those reference throughout the text, the link between motor skills and environment in children aged between 3 and 7. And then I'm just going to try and find, yep, where you referenced this. So, overall takeaway in study residential density directly to the motor skills of children, their degree of outdoor play and participation in organized sport. So if you could take that information and make a main idea, how would you put that into your own words? This main idea.
Um, motor skills of children mainly depends on
Mm-hmm.
uh, environment or or community uh, in which a child learn and play.
Right, yeah, you're pretty much on the right track there. Basically, the main point of this would be the link between motor skills and the environment in children aged 3 to 7 years old. That's the main idea. There's a link between the motor skills and the environment, and then we discuss how those links are. Good. So you've taken some examples of keywords and points to support this main idea. You've got a few, you've referenced some here at the end of the first paragraph. That residential density directly relates to motor skills of children, their degree of outdoor play, and participation in organized sport. Have you got any more key points that you might have referenced when you were looking through?
Yeah, mm, like the passage mentioned about degree of repetition.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, we need to have a degree so that we can learn advance and innate the motor skills.
Mm-hmm.
The advanced skills can be um, studied and gained uh, through enrolling in a program or degree course.
Right, yeah. So pretty much around this area here is about
Yeah.
the advanced innate skills and obviously can be improved by doing games and practicing them basically, yeah. So there are many, many ideas and I just wanted to see what ideas that you got. Good. So we got basically an idea what the main passage is and we've also got some of the key points to support this main idea. Let's see what I've gotten from this overall. So here's something I've referenced. If you can see the screen here, we have the link between motor skills and the environment of children aged 3 to 7. That would be our main idea. And here's some of the main ideas which you picked up on as well. Outside, more motor skills than inside. The city children do more sport. Residential density is also incredibly important though. Developing motor skills takes practice and outdoor play should be encouraged in order to develop these skills. So the link would be with that. Obviously, the more people, the more that children play outside, the more they practice the motor skills and the more that they develop these with and are encouraged to do so, then the quicker that these motor skills will develop. And that obviously is reference to the environment because even though it typically says in the passage that more children will do um, or play outside in the countryside, more city children will, however, do sport. So there's a bit of a link there, also a bit of a disparity there between the information. All right, so those are main ideas and our keywords that we've got from this passage. Now, let's have a look at what we should do. So the main idea and the gist, as you know, are often found at the beginning of the first paragraph and also maybe at the end of some paragraphs or at the beginning of the subsequent paragraph. So where did we get our main idea from, Agit? What section? Was it at the beginning of the first paragraph?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah, it was fine. Like I could have included the first line,
Yes.
but But the last one was like a concluding sentence, so I thought
Mhm.
of picking that point.
Yes, the concluding sentence is also incredibly important, where we get more analysis of our main idea.
Yeah,
But usually we'll find the information we need at the
yeah,
beginning of
that's
the
it.
first paragraph. It is our topic sentence, and therefore that's how we can get our main idea. But as you said, it was also referred to in different parts as well. We have obviously some ideas here, like residential density relates to motor skills of children, their degree of outdoor play participation in organized sports. However, most of this information here on the other paragraphs would be our supporting key points. So that's what we do for our supporting key points. Our main idea and gist can be found at the beginning of the first paragraph, sometimes at the end, in the conclusion too. But that's the first place we should look, obviously, is the very beginning. And our key points and ideas, as we can see, they're thrown throughout the text, all the text. The important thing is, though, is just to be able to differentiate between our key points and our examples. The examples we don't really need to include because we only have one sentence. All right. Ajay, do you have any questions so far?
No,
Nope, happy to keep going. All right, cool.
yeah,
So we've analyzed where we get our main ideas and just from. Now what we're going to look at is we're going to look at some sample summaries. So here are 4 sample answers from this task here. What I want you to do is to have a look at the 4 sample answers and decide for me which one you think is the best and explain why you think it's the best for whatever reasons. Also, for our YouTube viewers and Facebook viewers and PTE viewers at home, please do this task in your own time. Pause the video, see if you can decide which sample answer you think is the best and whatever reasons you have for selecting that. So Ajit, have a read through. Tell me which answer you think is the best.
okay. I think the second one is the
This,
best answer.
you think the second one is the best? Let's have a circle of it. All right, number 2. And why do you think number 2 is the best, Ajit?
Because it is about the which environment the children studied, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
urban or rural area. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the main focus point on the passage.
So paragraph 2 has it's basically captured the main focus, the main idea of the paragraph. Yep. Anything else you think is good about it?
No, no, I don't think this is the right. This is the best answer because we don't see any motor skill here.
Right, right. So it hasn't included all the main some of the main ideas. Yep. All right,
Yeah,
cool. Yep. I'm glad to say that number 2 is not the best. Let me
yeah,
show. We'll go into why it's not the best very soon. I want to show which summary actually turned out to be the best overall, which is number 1.
one, yeah,
All right. Importantly, number 1 is very good, is because it is one sentence. Now, if we look at number 2, Ajit, is it one sentence?
no,
No, it is actually 2 sentences. So what would happen on the day of the exam if you wrote an example that was more than 2 sentences? It was more than one
no,
sentence, sorry. You get
yeah,
0. You would get
zero,
0
yeah,
and you would get 0 in
yeah,
the test. So number 2 is not a good answer because you have more than one test. Even though obviously the main idea is being captured and some of the supporting points have been captured, that's great. It doesn't follow the guidelines and the criteria for this task by having more than one sentence. So that's a pretty bad answer for that. But anyway, number one is very good because it is one sentence long. It references the main topic at any supporting point. So obviously it talks about how the study was conducted in Finland, and it pretty much just paraphrases the main point of the passage, talking about enhanced motor skills. And then after the comma, it condenses some of the main ideas into a sentence. By playing outside, taking part in sports, and with constant practice are able to develop normally. So even though it doesn't get all the main ideas, remember, it's not always essential for you to get all of them. It's as many as possible, but it references those in a list in that sentence. Are there any grammatical errors with that sentence, with that summary, Ajit?
You mentioned like writing in simple present tense,
Mm-hmm.
but it is like conducted. It's in past tense, I think.
Conducted, is this conducted? Yes. So even though that you should be writing in the simple present or even the simple present continuous, when we're referring to a study, that first part can be used in the past tense because we're referring to a study which happened in the past. But when we're referring to the events of the study, we're going to go through in a list, like in like a routine. So that's why we're using our um, our present tenses for that part. But if we're referencing a report or we're referencing a study, a lecture, or an essay, yes, that part we can reference. We can use the simple past for that to reference to that because we are talking about something that was carried out in the past. But the rest should obviously refer to it in a list-like function, so present continuous or the present simple. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for picking that out because that obviously may be a little bit confusing for some people. After all, I did state that we should use the present simple or the present continuous, but that one part reference to the past simple, but that's the only exception when we're referring to the study, the report, or the analysis. That instead can be used in terms of the past simple. So are there any grammatical errors in that first summary, Ajit?
Mm. Yeah.
No. So it's grammatically very, very sound. Everything is linked well together. All of the different grammatical tenses are used well. Cohesive devices are also used very well, and as is punctuation as well. Any spelling errors, Ajit?
Yes. No.
Nope, there are no spelling errors at all. So I'm glad that you're actually reading through it in your own time and going, even though it says no spelling errors, are there any spelling errors? That's great for your own review. So good. Yep, there's no spelling errors in that overall. Everything is spelled correctly. So it's important in your own time also to ensure that you review your own spelling. To make sure you don't lose any easy marks from not going through the review process at the end. I've noticed that I've written it in an appropriate tone. Do you think it's written in an appropriate tone? And what do I mean by tone?
Like a connection. There's a link in the passage in the summary or
Yes.
not. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah. In a way, yeah, it's talking about the tone. So when we're talking about PT academic, what tone are all of our lectures and reports and audio files, etc. in? Is it would be a formal or informal tone?
Formal.
It's very formal, yeah. So we have to
Yeah.
ensure that we also copy that tone and the idea and I guess the message of our passage so that it basically replicates what it was in our example. So it basically copies the style and the language of of the of the tone of the passage that we're summarizing from. So yeah, it's all very formal, which is obviously very appropriate and something we need to write in. And is the response between 5 and 75 words?
Yeah. 36.
I liked how I heard you very silently counting there, Hatchet. So let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 times 2 is 30. 31, 32, 34, 35, 36, 37. So we have 37. We got 37 words there, which is actually a nice middle ground between obviously the lower end of the scale and the upper end of our scale for our summary. So depending on the information, some might be longer and some might be shorter. But this is obviously the best scoring of them all. So basically, it satisfies a lot of the criteria. One sentence references the main topic and any supporting points. No grammatical errors, no spelling errors, appropriate tone, and between 5 and 75 words. So that's pretty good. So given that we said that number 1 is the best summary, what problems can you see with number 2, Ajit?
Yeah, the full stop is there. The same, it is not in one sentence.
It's not in
And
one sentence, yep. So it's,
yeah,
as we said earlier, the fact that number 2 is not in one sentence means that effectively you're going to get scored 0 for that. So that's a very, very, very big error. Anything else you can see?
yeah, it has not shown like a connection between motor skill and children.
Yeah, it doesn't really go into any more of the information. Obviously, it says about, yeah, it summarizes the main idea and then just goes into like a conclusion, but there's no more main information about what the topic
Yeah.
what topic is, so it doesn't really go into that in any detail. So the main points have effectively been excluded. Yeah, that's precisely it. More than one sentence and a lot of the main ideas have been excluded. What about number 3, Ajit? What do you think about number 3?
Yeah, this is not also it doesn't say anything about the main idea.
No, there's no reference to
Yeah,
the main
no
idea
reference. Yeah,
here at all. No reference to the study as well. So
yeah.
they've excluded that pretty erroneously. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I don't find anything else.
All right. So basically, it is one sentence, which is great. It doesn't reference many of the main topics and supporting points. Are there any spelling, grammatical errors, or tone inconsistencies that you can see?
As much possible cause normal
Yeah,
development.
there's an issue here.
There's
What's the
yeah.
issue? What's the issue with this word?
I don't know. The comma is there.
The comma is there. Do you think that that might be an abbreviation of a certain word?
No.
No, it's an abbreviation of because. So they've used the comma
Uh,
before b, removed the b, and made it cause. As we know, when native speakers speak, sometimes they abbreviate words. So because becomes cause. So they haven't used an appropriate tone or a register for this particular word. So therefore, it's not really talking about an appropriate tone. We can't use informal language like this paragraph has done. So that's a big no-no. Keep it nice and formal and use proper lexis and register when you're giving your example. All right, so that's the issue. Yep, it doesn't reference the main points, and also it's not using an appropriate tone as well. All right, good job, Ajit. What about the fourth summary, the fourth and final summary? What do you think about this one?
yeah, this is also the same. It doesn't say about the main idea.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't reference the main idea at all. What does it reference mostly instead?
It's like a statement. The fact, like day-to-day activities, can
Yeah, yeah.
help.
Yeah, precisely. It does pretty much talk about a lot of the main points, but it goes into a lot of the examples. And as we say, we don't want to include the examples which back up the main point. We want to try and exclude those. So it's just not that relevant overall. All right, good. So number 1 is great for all those reasons, and number 2, number 3, and number 4 have some problems. So please take a note of some of those ideas on the right-hand side. You want your answer to basically fulfill as much of that criteria as possible. Thanks, Ajit, for going through that with me. Do you have any questions?
Um, the second point is wrong. But however, can I make this compound complex sentence, and we can form those sentences, like instead of full stop, I can use semicolon
Is
and
that
and and can
yes?
form one sentence.
Sorry, which paragraph are you referencing with using a semicolon?
Second one, instead of full stop.
Instead of what? Sorry.
Instead of full stop, we can use semicolon.
Yeah, you can. You can. Can you give me an example using that semicolon?
The example will be the same. Instead of full stop, I can use semicolon
Yes,
over
you
there.
can. Yep. So we can use some of
That
these. Yeah,
that
no,
can
we
be one sentence. That can be compound
yes.
complex sentence.
Yes, we can. So, yep, absolutely. If you're able to use some of these complex punctuation marks instead, absolutely use them. That's why a semicolon and a full colon or a colon is incredibly useful to use. So if you can use them, that's great. However, when we do use semicolons, but we run risk of making the sentence too much of a run-on. So if we use semicolons, they have to be used incredibly accurately. So basically, a lot of examples I've seen with this task is when a semicolon is used, often it's trying to combine too much information together, or the semicolon maybe just makes it sound too complicated for a single sentence. So it is something that you have to basically judge for yourself whether it's useful to use. However, in this case, I think it would be okay. But just keep that in mind when you're using it, that sometimes a semicolon might not, basically, what I'm trying to say is that instead of using a semicolon, can we reformulate the sentence into something else instead to avoid using the semicolon? But if you can use it effectively, then absolutely do so.
Okay.
Any other questions, Ajit?
No, I'm good.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much for going through those summaries with me. All right. So before we get into our practice prompt today, I just want to go through some summarize written text tips that hopefully we picked up from this video lesson today, as well as anything else that we might find useful going into our practice prompts. So the first thing is, of course, that we've been doing so far, is that you should focus on the main points of the argument presented in the prompt during your planning time. So when you're planning, Ajit, when you're planning for this response, what are you trying to do essentially? So you've got 10 minutes at the very beginning
Yeah,
of your text. What should
trying
you
to
think about doing?
trying to understand the main topic,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, like the main topic, then uh, the description about the main topic, and then the conclusion.
Yeah,
I mainly
precisely.
focus on three things.
Yeah, so you should spend a little bit of time, obviously, getting a main understanding of the main topic and taking a note of the areas where that main topic may be, whether the topic sentence of each paragraph,
Yeah,
especially the first paragraph, and also in the conclusion. You need to get those and extract them. You want to take them out, put right into the side, or if you're obviously typing in the day of the PTE test with your electronic notepad, just have those uh, beside you, as we said. So as I said, I'll go back to this slide here. This is effectively what we want to do. We want to do something like this. We want to just basically extract them and write them down in note form